Holy crap, I don't know who the hell we think we are when we do something like that.
What's up, fight fans? This is the Combat Connection, and we are live on the Cageside Press YouTube channel. I am Brett Cagle. Joining me today, as always, is Eddie Law, and we have a loaded show for you guys today. We're going to look back at UFC Mexico City, recap everything that was Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg from over the weekend. We've got some news coming out of the PFL. His favorite in the welterweight tournament, Magomed Umutov, is going to be withdrawing from the tournament due to a weight miss. He has been eliminated. And then we're also going to look ahead to the UFC Fight Night card next weekend between Josh Emmett and Lerone Murphy, the undefeated European prospect as well. So, Eddie, let's get right into it from last week. Brandon Moreno was able to pick up a massive victory over Steve Erceg. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of this matchup, but I really want to talk about the UFC pushing Steve Erceg too soon. I really think that this is a case like we saw in years past with Darren Till, to where they found a talented guy in a weight class that they didn't really have a marketable star in. They thought that he could fill the void there, and they pushed him too soon. And he's rattled off 3 in a row in losses. Now, yes, they are against the top guys, the champion Pantoja, Kai Kara-France, and the former champion Brandon Moreno. But at the same time, his best win is over Matt Schnell. And that doesn't necessarily warrant you matchups with those guys. And I think that if Steve was maybe slow cooked on the way up, and taken better care of in his career, maybe he's a prospect that could have been a champion down the line in the future. But unfortunately, Eddie, I think this is going to be a tale just like we saw with Darren Till in years past. What do you think about the situation?
Look at the thing about Erceg, all right, is they threw him at Pantoja not thinking he was going to do shit, okay? And by the way, I got to say this ahead of time because I got shit for it already. Make America real again. I'm not MAGA. Eat shit. Don't come after me. I don't care. Your political opinion is garbage to me on either side. I just like this shirt because we need to make America real again. But anyway, and by the way, it's an old ass shirt. Shout out represent LTD, rep hard. Steve Erceg was a guy they threw at Pantoja, not thinking he was gonna do shit, right? Like he was just a name they threw at him because 125 is constantly on this it's like a no, you don't have kids. It's like when you watch your kid go up and down the driveway. At the end of the driveway, there's traffic. He's on the bike going back and forth. You taught him how to hit the brakes, right? But you know good and goddamn well he's a 5-year-old that doesn't really know how to hit the brakes. You're just hoping he doesn't run into traffic. They didn't give a shit. They're like, let that fucker run into traffic. Who cares, right? 125 is that right now. We're honestly always on the brink of losing the whole damn division. So what do? Oh, who do we throw at Pantoja? No one wants to see Brandon Moreno in there again. But fuck it, Steve Erceg. Go ahead. And Steve went to decision with him. Pantoja, it's hard not to get finished by a guy like Pantoja. That dude's a dog, right? So then you give him to Kai Kara-France. And Kai Kara-France is a monster who should get the next title shot, honestly. But he's a monster, knocks him out. Then he goes against a former champion, Brandon Moreno, and goes decision again. And Brandon fucked him up. I mean, Steve Erceg's body has dents in it, permanent dents from some of the shots he ate in that fight. So, yeah, was it too fast? Sure. Did they think he was going to be able to survive these fights? Absolutely not. That's why I give Steve Erceg a ton of credit. Because you're right. Had they slow cooked him, completely different story.
Yeah, I think that he's got massive potential, and who knows, maybe in the future he can rebound. As I'm looking at some of the statistics from last week, Steve Erceg actually was the fighter that landed more strikes. A lot of those came with glancing jabs and leg kicks, but we'll go over the official statistics. 119 total strikes landed for Erceg, 95 for Moreno. Significant strikes, 89 for Moreno, 116 for Steve Erceg. I had this fight scored 4 rounds to 1, actually, Eddie, just like the judges did, 49-46. Is that how you saw it too?
Absolutely. It was a Brandon Moreno clinic, right? That dude, nobody changes their style just enough to look different and still be the same guy like Brandon Moreno. That guy's just so good. And Saeed, can you, what's his name? Out of Dallas? Saeed.
Saeed Saud.
Saeed Saud. Jesus Christ. I apologize, Coach. I always screw your name. That's why I only call you Coach when I see you in person. All right, my bad, dog. Anyway, but that guy's such a good game planner.
Yes,
so good, right? I hope Brandon stays with him in his camp because he's done really well. But no, dude, Brandon Moreno he's a dog, dude. He's a dog. And Steve Erceg he ran into a dog looking to get a win in his home country for the first time in the UFC.
Yeah. Do you think elevation played a factor at all? Because it did seem like Brandon was, coming on as the fight went late. And they talked how Erceg only showed up to Mexico City like 3 weeks ago. Do you think that acclimating to that, that height and, the elevation they were fighting in, do you think that played a factor on Erceg?
100%. 100%. Here's the thing. And again, the tale, the cautionary tale everyone talks about, Cain Velasquez. Everyone talks about C-level. It's the only reason C-level Cain's even a thing, right? Shout out to Cain, our brother. You get out. But the only reason C-level Cain's a thing is because C-level Cain went to Mexico City with no time, thinking his cardio was going to hold up, and didn't realize, oh shit, you know who had that foresight? Fabricio Verdum. For months. Okay, you can't go the 3 weeks, ahead of time and acclimate.
Yeah, and they said that Verdum, I remember in that fight, he said the only reason he did that is because when he was competing in Pride in Japan, that he experienced on his own for the first time. So he kind of had been through that situation fighting at elevation before. So, yeah, I don't know how many fights it really did play a factor in this weekend, but certainly I think the main event, it affected Steve Erceg as the fight went on.
It affected most guys, I think. Even Brandon. Brandon was very good about managing his energy. If you notice, he wasn't bouncing around and flying around like he normally does. He was very much like little moves, little angle changes and everything. And his cardio was still on point. But Steve, absolutely. Like you got to be there months ahead. You can't be there weeks ahead if you're serious about it. Now, obviously the money, having to pay for a place to be, having to bring your entire team, having to be away from your family, et cetera, is going to play a huge factor into that. That's why I tell fighters, outside of Joe Piper's, pansy ass, but that's why I tell fighters to talk about, what's like fighting in Mexico? I'm just like, go super early if you're going to do it, or don't take the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's smart. And I think that that's something that can be done even in Colorado and elevation in America. Get used and get acclimated to that elevation. We've seen it in the past in some of those prelims fights up there in Colorado too. But one thing I do want to mention for Steve Erceg is his takedown defense does hold up. Even against Pantoja, was hard to get to the ground. He actually took Pantoja down at times in that contest, actually lost the fight in the 5th round because he went for a takedown and was reversed. But in this one, Moreno was 1 for 5 officially on takedown attempts. So Steve was able to keep his back from getting put on the ground, but just wasn't able to put the pressure on Moreno. It seemed like Moreno was making Steve fight off the back foot all night, and he just wasn't able to put the volume together that he normally does. Now he did outland Moreno, but the forward pressure and accumulation of strikes and damage from Moreno, like you were mentioning, to the body, I think is really what put him ahead in this one. Eddie, who would you like to see Brandon Moreno fight next? We've been talking about Kai Kara-France a little bit. He already fought Kai Kara, finished him with that body kick a couple years ago. Moreno's fought Pantoja, he's fought Kai Kara-France, he's fought El Bazzi, he's fought all these guys at the top of the division. What do you think is possibly next for the Assassin Baby?
I was hoping like hell he would take that long-ass break that he was talking about doing. But why? Not because of him, not because of his physical or his mental. Because I wanted to see the division develop, right? I think he got rushed back because they said, like, man, you beat Royval, you're right there, loses a split. All right, man, you got Amir Al-Bazzi who's on his way up, who could get a next title shot. You beat him, you get a good shot. Cool. Beats Amir Al-Bazzi, beats a former title challenger as well. Selfishly, the title shot, right? You got Noche UFC in September coming to Guadalajara.
Is Noche UFC the perfect spot for him?
It's the perfect spot. You can. It clearly did at the Sphere. But it's kind of silly as shit that not only had Noche UFC without a Mexican champion or at least a Mexican fighter in the main event, right? Right, but it would be really silly to not have a Mexican fighter in the main event in Mexico on Noche UFC. So
yeah, I think so too. If especially last year, 2 years in a row, if in the main event last year you had Merab and O'Malley, not necessarily Hispanic fighters. Hopefully they can turn that around, and maybe Brandon Moreno gets a title shot. We'll have to see in the future, but certainly puts his name back into title contention. And with the victories he has previously in his career, he could be on a short list for being the next guy. But we're going to move along here to the co-main event. Congratulations to Brandon Moreno. But there were other fights on this card to talk about. A knockout victory for Manel Torres over Drew Dober in the lightweight co-main event. Manel Torres looked absolutely fantastic in this one. I know he didn't have the performance he wanted to against Bahamondes last time out at Noche, but this one is everything he could have asked for. Dober was tough, but he took a lot of shots in this one, got into that fetal position on the ground where it's kind of on all fours, was taking unanswered shots to the head as he was trying to defend himself or go for a half-hearted takedown attempt. And Mike Beltran called a stop to the contest. Dober rose to his feet quickly right after to protest, but he was obviously dazed and confused still from the punishment he was taking from Manel Torres. Do you think Dober just got put into a position where he took a few punches and didn't really realize where he was at, and then at that point it was too late? It was really, you don't really see Dober get put into some of those positions like that from ground and pound finishes. He's a veteran, and you don't normally see him get put down that easily in the first round like Torres was able to do this weekend. How impressed were you with Torres, and what did you think of some of the finish there? And was it a good stoppage?
Okay, good stoppage, yes. Okay, when a fighter gets up like Dober did, and the ref is in front of you doing this, like, nah, you're done. The ref's still in front of you, and you're still doing this like you're gonna go. You're not even here yet right now. Yep. You're still in the shadow in the shadow realm. So I think two things happened to Drew Dober. I think the elevation got to him too, and I think El Loco Torres is a motherfucker. Holy shit! This kid is not only powerful, he's smart, all right, and he's deadly accurate. It was a beautiful it was just beautiful striking coming from him the entire time, and he's not backing up. Right, Drew Dober hits like a tank and a half. All right, Drew Dober is a dog. Drew Dober could probably run his chin through a freaking wall and keep on going. The problem is he ran into a buzzsaw in Manuel Torres and El Loco Torres. He got messed up badly. All respect to Drew Dober, but I believe this is the beginning of, not the end, but the beginning of a decline for him. I would love to see him take a little bit longer break and then just take fun fights in Vegas, please. Don't stop going elevation, dog.
Yeah, I think Dober's going to be relegated to kind of that Bobby Green, Jim Miller spot where he's going to be the aging gatekeeper down the line here. And that's kind of the position he was in this fight as well. Sure. What you mentioned about Manel Torres moving forward, he was even moving forward on Bahamondes. I know that fight didn't end well, but he came after Bahamondes. Bahamondes countered him with a very clean punch and put him out. But he was moving forward on someone who was an elite striker. This guy's mentality is going to propel him to be a contender himself, I believe. And I would have liked to seen him try and take Bahamondes down in that fight, considering he has 7 submission wins himself and might have had a path to victory there on the ground. But he stood and traded with Bahamondes. He has no fear in the striking, it doesn't seem like, Manel Torres. So a great win by him. And what do you think his potential is in the future? Is he a top 10 guy? Is he a top 5 guy? Obviously, Bahamondes is on the rise as well. That's a matchup that he's probably not going to leap him up in the rankings. But as the future, 3-4 fights down the line, a year or two from now, where do you see Manel Torres in the lightweight division?
I think he's a top 10 guy. Now, Ignacio's number 15 now, so you're not going to see Torres in the rankings anytime soon. Now, not a bad loss to have. Right, we just saw Bahamondes come out and buzzsaw. Who did he destroy? He destroyed somebody recently, but Torres, like
Jalen Turner.
Thank you, Jalen Turner. So we're not gonna see, like, it's not a bad loss. It's a solid. If you're gonna have a loss, not a bad one to have, and that's definitely a rematch we're absolutely gonna get at one point. I think Torres is top 15 right now, right? And they're gonna slow cook him. They'll put him in the Noche UFC card for sure. Maybe, and this is what I would do if I was a matchmaker in the UFC, is I line him up for International Fight Week, okay? With the idea is, like, you come out unscathed, great. Noche UFC, you got to co-main on that, or not co-main, but you got a main card spot. Because I think that guy's to borrow a screaming Ace Smith saying, I got that brother's box office, like 100% box office. That dude, all right? Bring him into a main card in a pay-per-view in Mexico, motherfuckers. That's no other way to do it. Now, he just got booked, and we're not gonna see it. But I wanted that Benoit Saint Denis fight for Loco Torres. But again, that's a top 15 fight. So we'll see what happens with him. But again,
how about Mauricio Huffy?
Sir, do you want to see someone die?
Yes, that's 2 trains colliding.
No,
I'd love to see that fight.
I didn't even think about. Oh, fuck that! Make that fight today. Holy shit, that'd be great.
Him and Huffy would be a war.
Woo! Give me a fighting nerd. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's probably my most anticipated matchup for him. Both of those guys right on the outside of the top 15. A win would stake a claim for one of those guys, certainly. Now, yeah, that was a great win by Manel Torres. We've got some other fights to get to, and we've got to watch out for him in the future. Eddie thinks he's going to be on that Noche card. I think that's a very high possibility for where we're going to see him next. So keep an eye out on him. And he's going to be facing some good contenders in the future. Huffy's over there, along with some other guys in that lightweight rankings, right outside the top 15. We did have a flyweight contest on this one. These guys weren't necessarily, batting down the hatches for title contention, but CJ Vergara gets submitted in the first round by Edgar Chairez. Chairez gets back in the win column here, gets a much-needed submission victory. But I got to tell you, Eddie, I think this is probably going to be the end of the road for CJ Vergara. Unfortunately, he's just lost too many times. And just the consistency isn't there. He had some bright moments when he came on to the UFC and made his first initial run and push, but just has been turned back by countless contenders and got finished in the first round again this weekend. Do you think that what do you think of Chairez's win? How impressed were you? I necessarily wasn't that impressed because I don't think that CJ Vergara is necessarily that upper echelon in the flyweight division, respectfully. But do you think that this is the end of the line for CJ Vergara, and how impressed were you with Chairez's win?
So this is it for CJ. And the only loss that isn't terrible is that Asu Amabayev lost, right? Asu's a dog, no problem. But getting knocked out by Ramazan Timarov, you get caught, but come on. And then Edgar Chairez, he was coming off a loss too, right? Yeah. So he lost to Joshua Van, who stepped in, I'm pretty sure, on short notice at UFC 306, the last Noche UFC. Stepped on short notice and beat Edgar Chairez, right? So impressive win, not really. But I got to say, it was very meaningful. Not for the division, not for Mexican fighters. To see Chairez go in there and get a submission victory in Mexico City and then break down the way he did, emotionally talking about his grandfather. He only did this for his grandfather. His grandfather sold his car, right, to give him money to go do what he's got to do to get to this point. He goes, he's no longer here, but he's front row in heaven for me. It's like, holy shit, dude, that was crazy. Like, I don't know how a grown man doesn't tear up when you think about that kind of that kind of emotion. But yeah, the win itself, big win for Edgar Chairez because it keeps him on the roster, right? Keeps him on the roster. Now build on that. And I want to see him, how do I put it? Like, find a way to improve because he's fighting the same style, right? Yeah, he just ran into a guy that's kind of done.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if he's able to get guys to the ground, he does have a sneaky submission 100%. Game. Tried to get Josh Van to the ground in that fight. Wasn't able to. Josh Van is a very strong athlete, able to stay on his feet. And that, that's when Chairez ran into some problems. Is he's not necessarily the greatest striker in the world, respectfully. Mm-hmm. But if he can improve and kind of get more well-rounded in that striking game, and have it as a distraction to take people to the ground, his ground game is tremendous. So a great win for him this weekend, getting the sub over CJ Vergara.
Give me Chairez over to Brandon Moreno's training camp. Get that going because the way he fights, if he can take some of those different skill sets out of Brandon and out of that fight camp over in I think it's in Dallas. Dallas.
Yeah.
That would be something to see, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that some of the times, like in that Van fight, I think he got a little bit down on himself. It just looked like when he didn't get that initial takedown and wasn't able to get him to the floor, he kind of like was deflated a little bit. And I think Saif Sahoud does a great job of motivating people in the corner. Even when he was in there with Brandon, he was like, all right, this is where we prove that we're winning this fight right here, last round. I don't give a shit about anything else. You go out there and make a statement in this fifth round. And that's exactly what Brandon needed to hear. I think that Saif Sahoud and Ray Longo in cage coaching is absolutely as best as it comes. They cannot get better than those two guys as master motivators, in my opinion. But Chairez, that would be great if he was able to go over there and train with Brandon Moreno. But a great victory for him in his home country of Mexico, in front of his native people, and certainly one of the highlights of his UFC career. Moving along down the card, Eddie, one of the brightest upstarts that we have in the UFC is Raul Rosas Jr. Still very young. He might still be the youngest kid on the UFC roster currently. Got a unanimous decision win over the always game and tough Vince Morales. We called this whole card, other than the Ronaldo Rodriguez fight. We both had this one, Raul Rosas, by unanimous decision. But were you surprised that he was able to get it done? Now, I had this clear 2-1, right? I thought that Vince rebounded well and did good in the third round. The first two go to Raul, right? Do you think that this was easier path to victory for Raul than what you thought it was going to be? Obviously, Vince did come on strong in the end and show his veteran toughness, but the first two rounds were clearly for Raul Rosas Jr.
I was disappointed he didn't finish the fight. All due respect to Vince Morales. Vince, he's as good as they come, veteran-wise. Unfortunately, he's just under that tier, right? Especially for lightweight, featherweight, bantamweight. Jesus,
135.
My bad, bantamweight. He's just under that tier of guys that will make actual moves in the UFC at 135. Unfortunately for him, like I think that guy's UFC runs over. I think he's off to, God, I hope not PFL, but like somewhere like successful, Risen. They use a lot of the lightweights very well. Really good matchmaking there. Get him over there. But I was disappointed that I wasn't able to finish it. He was very dominant on the ground. Like anytime it got to the ground, you were just like, shit, just finish him already. He was very patient. I like that part of Raul's new game. But there were multiple opportunities to finish the fight. And instead of going balls up trying to finish it, he was kind of like, oh, shit, I don't know. Maybe not do this. This is what happens with fighters that, had their first professional loss just recently. They start questioning everything. So that being said, big win for him in Mexico. Big win for him over a veteran who had a little bit of hype coming into this fight still, after making his return to the UFC. Vince is done. And I'm not, and again, that's not a disrespectful thing. That's just, we just see the math, Vince.
16-10 now,
the math doesn't work. And it's not even the overall record. It's just like you three struck out the first time. I think he just three struck out again.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to say that, because I don't think Vince is necessarily in the same spot that CJ Vergara was.
No.
Right. That was his last 3 fights he has lost. Taylor Lapilus, Elijah Smith, and Raul Rosas. I think the Elijah Smith one is probably the most damning.
That's the one that hurts. That's the one that hurts, because Elijah just got here.
Yeah, I agree. But for Raul Rosas, like you mentioned, I was surprised he didn't get this one finished. He had 9 minutes of control time, 4 takedowns throughout this contest. If you have Raul Rosas with as dominant of a ground game as he has, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, world class, if he has you on the ground for 9 minutes and not able to finish you, obviously you're having good takedown defense, good jiu-jitsu defense as well. But Raul Rosas Jr. able to pick up a win over the veteran Vince Morales. It was a very impressive performance through the first 2 rounds. Had to show his toughness and hang in there in the third. And I think that these fights are really going to propel Raul down the line for superstardom, because when you're able to go in here young against a guy like Vince Morales, prove yourself, it's just only going to build your confidence going in for the future when you do finally get to that top 10, top 5, and you get into some of the adversity later in rounds, like I'm sure he's going to face. He knows he's been there against guys like C-Rod. He knows he's been there against guys like Vince Morales, who have fought tough competition as well. So I think Raul Rosas Jr., the sky is still the limit for him. I don't think that, the loss to Christian Rodriguez is, something that's going to take him out of contention down the line. I think that's something he actually will build upon and probably learn from. So, I like Raul, and I think he's going to be a top 5 fighter down the line in the future. And stylistically, if you look at the top of the division, when some of these guys get older, the Aldos, the Peter Yans, the Sean O'Malley's, when these guys are 3, 4, 5 years down the line and Raul's coming in to his professional prime at 28 years old, he's going to have a lot of stylistic matchups that are in his favor against some of these aging guys. So Raul is always someone to keep an eye on moving forward. But unfortunately, it may be the end of the road for Vince Morales.
The thing with Raul that I need to see, hands are better, 100%. I need better hands. I need better kicks. I need better striking setups from Raul. Okay. And then because he's got the ground game, dude. You know that he's got the submissions good to go with that. Yep. I need to see improvement on the feet just a little bit more before I'm like, give him a top 15 guy. Now they're gonna give him a top 15 guy. That's happening next for sure. But like I need to see a little more improvement on the feet. You get that going, then I can comfortably say at some point a contender at least. But if he doesn't improve the feet, and he's young, so he will. But if he doesn't improve it before he gets to like a top 10 guy, we could see, at least mentally, like a decline, right? Like a lot of these young fighters, they start losing. A lot of these guys don't hang on. So
Eddie, where's our rule training right now? When you go to his page, it says 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. So he's obviously a black belt under Eddie Bravo over there, but obviously Eddie is not a mixed martial arts coach per se. So I'm really confused to where I'd like to see him at a super gym, and he may be. Maybe I'm just ignorant to where he's training at right now, but I'd like to see him go to an Extreme Couture or an ATT or a Kill Cliff or one of these top level gyms. So like you're saying, he can, learn from guys who are elite strikers and get better hands to go along with the world-class jiu-jitsu as well. Yeah. But is he training at a smaller gym?
So he trains with 10 Planet with Eddie Bravo. But he trains with, like, I know he's trained with the Njukwani brothers. Eddie Reynoso, who is also, I believe, the boxing coach for Canelo Alvarez. Okay. So he moves around a little bit with that, right? He's also come up here to over here at the MMA lab in Glendale because he's trained with guys like Marcus McGee, Minor Bautista, and Kyler Phillips, if I'm not mistaken. So he moves around a little bit. And then on top of that, I want to say, where does he? Oh, he trains somewhere else, man. I can't remember. Anyway, regardless. He
his home base is more 10th Planet, and then he goes and gets specialized training at other places.
Well, he also trains under his father.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's not really affiliated with any big gyms. Like he just 10th Planet and everything. And by the way, on Eddie Bravo, 100% not an MMA coach.
Oh, great! One of the greatest jiu-jitsu coaches in the world, though. Amazing
jiu-jitsu. I've taken one of his seminars. And the only bad part was I'm not anywhere near as flexible as any of the 10th Planet guys. So him telling me to put my ankle in certain place, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? And I literally go in my head, man, all due respect, the fuck are you talking about? He bursts out laughing. I'm like, bro, like my knee already popped twice trying to make this dumbass move, right? or you want me to do a dead orchard? Really? I can't do a dead orchard. Come on, bro, I'm gonna die. Like, yeah. So anyway, I'm a huge fan of Eddie Bravo, but do I think Raul needs to move somewhere bigger? No. Do I think he needs to go train? Like, just go for not even a camp, just like 2, 3, 4 weeks at a ATT. 2, 3, 4 weeks. Get crazy. Go to TriStar. 2, 3 weeks at Lobo Gym in Guadalajara. But being out of California, I go hang out with the AKA boys. That's what I do.
Yeah. Wherever they can get the hands, and AKA might be the best spot because a lot of those grapplers in the past who have gone there, they get their hands just good enough to where they can become dominant. You got Kane, DC, Khabib, Islam, Josh Thompson. John Fitch and Koscheck weren't necessarily the greatest strikers in the world, but those other guys that I just mentioned are good and got their foot in the door through their grappling, and then we're able through AKA to get the other skills where they need to be to become world class. But
the other place I think he could go, Black House MMA. They're out of
the place out of Florida.
No, California. Isn't where's it? What's the name of the place that Anderson Silva trained at?
Black Zillions?
No, that's Florida. No, it's Black House MMA is in California. So I'm pretty sure. So let me make
King's MMA is out there too, isn't it?
King's MMA, my fucking bad.
With
MMA.
Rafael Cordero.
Black House is Brazil. God damn it, my bad.
That's what it used to be, though. That's what it used to be. They had Shoot the Box, and then he went to Black House. Yep.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. So there. Yeah. King's MMA. Go to King's MMA. All right. That the striking. I mean, fucking Mike Tyson went there. Okay. Go hit those guys up for a little bit, just like 2, 3, 4 weeks, just get some hands in there, see how you feel. And it might be one of those. It might be one of those things where you could kind of cross train. It's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. If we can get the striking up for Raul Rosas, the sky's the limit for him as well. A lot of talented Latin American prospects this weekend, and one of which that was turned back. Eddie, this is the only fight that we got wrong on the card. Ronaldo Rodriguez came in with the biggest fanfare behind him. And we'll get to David Martinez, who had a spectacular knockout here in a minute. But Ronaldo Rodriguez came in here with the biggest fanfare of the night behind him. The crowd was there to support him. But Kevin Borjas was as slick as they came on the feet. After the first 2 minutes, Rodriguez went in there, threw some creative kicks, some spinning techniques that almost caught Kevin, a couple of jump kicks, like a double jump kick. He tried to kick him with both legs. It was really weird. But Kevin had found a home for that right hand all night, and he made Rodriguez eat that right hand for 15 minutes. This was really a great performance by Kevin, and it wasn't like he needed something crazy. He just stuck really to the bread and butter of striking, the jab, the 1-2, put hooks behind it. It looked basic, but it was good enough to get the job done against Rodriguez, who I don't want to say he was fraud checked. I don't throw that term out there.
I hate that term.
Very likely, but for a guy who I don't really like the term either, but for a guy who's a pressure fighter and someone who's known for their aggressiveness and striking, for him to get picked apart like that and pieced up, it was very, very alarming nonetheless.
Yeah, look, I don't. Here's the thing: is I picked Ronaldo Rodriguez to win because I do believe in Lazy Boy's skill set, right? But in no way was that me putting down Kevin Borjas. Okay, these Peruvian boys, we got one fighting tomorrow. Jesus Pinedo, these motherfuckers, dude, they are, sir. These Peruvian cats, bro, they're not just skilled. They're not just hungry. Just like you said, they're fucking mean. They are mean. Kevin Borjas did not give a shit that he's going into Mexico, okay? Now, I'm not going to give you a whole history lesson, but Latin American countries, a lot of times when it comes to sports, they don't really like each other, right? Came in here, he got booed like crazy. It doesn't matter he spoke Spanish, don't matter he's Latino as well. He came out, I was like, all right, cool. Watch what I do to your boy now. Yeah. On top of that, and this is not an excuse whatsoever, and I got to give Lazy Boy a lot of credit for saying it's not an excuse. He did have to end up in the hospital after the fight because of the weight cut issues. He did miss weight by a pound. Okay, shout out to dude Kevin Borjas. He made the entire night so worth it for him. Came out with a win over a Mexican star, and you can call Ronaldo a star because he draws in Mexico at least, and maybe Vegas and California. All right, in Arizona he definitely draw here, but he not only beat a Mexican star. Okay, not only did he take another 10 or 20%. Out of Ronaldo's purse, okay, he made a statement on television. That was fucking great. I expect him to get another heavy hitter in the next fight. Give him a chance to prove himself. And man, he wins this one. He wins another one, especially if he gets a finish. It's hard to deny him. Maybe not obviously not a top 15 guy, but it's hard to deny him a fight that will get him into a top 15 event spot.
Yeah, I think this was, like you were saying, a statement win, the biggest win of Kevin Borjas' career. Yeah. He looked so good on the feet. Now, here's my thing with Ronaldo Rodriguez. He was physically stronger than Kevin Borjas. And when you're getting picked apart, and you're getting picked apart after that first round, I was surprised there weren't takedown attempts and that his corner didn't, ask him to maybe try and get the fight to the ground. Were you surprised a little bit that Rodriguez didn't try to get the fight to the ground and just throw a wrench in what was happening on the feet?
Not surprised at all. But the reason I say not surprised because he wanted to put on a show, right? Mm-hmm. So you got a lot of different kind of fighters that will fight to what the coaches tell them, and the fighters that know that they're getting paid to put on a show, right? And I don't know if you saw it, but literally after he got out of the hospital, maybe on the way to the hospital, Ronaldo gets on his freaking Instagram and puts up a video. He's just like, "Well, we lost, but we put on a show. That's what we came to do."
Yeah, I didn't like that at all, to be honest with you. I know it shows the personality, but it also shows that how serious are you about winning? Did that when you went in there, was your life on the line basically to where you were thinking about it? Because when you go to the back and you see Jose Aldo lose, or you go to the back and you see Carlos Condit or Robbie Lawler or one of these guys lose, they're crying. Like they're devastated. You know what I'm saying? It means so much to them when they lose one of these fights. And when you sit there and you're like, hey guys, it's not a funeral, we can laugh. It's not a funeral, but at the same time, you just diminish the amount of money you're going to get paid in the future. Right. All those people that are in your corner behind you aren't going to get paid the same amount. It's not like, oh, we're just showing up for a free hotel room in a buffet after weigh-in. It's like, I don't know. I thought that, he fought in front of his hometown. He fought in front of his home country, and he should probably and you don't want to have somebody be over nervous, right? And be like, oh, I can't perform because of the nerves. But at the same time, you want him to take it very, very seriously as well.
Okay. Yeah. Here's why I don't have a problem with it. Okay. He's gonna live stream the Lawrence. Yeah, he is. Anyway, here's why I don't have a problem with it. Because it doesn't really show. Like he likes to put on a show. This guy's always super happy. You never see him upset ever. I promise you, that camera turned off, and when he gets home and he's in the confidence of his own place, he beat himself up 100%.
Yeah.
I am not everybody's gonna be Kobe Bryant. And after the Pistons beat the shit out of you in the 0-3, no.
You're at the gym the next night. Yeah.
Not even the gym the next night. On the microphone after the loss. They're asking you, like, what are you gonna do this offseason? He goes, I'm gonna work myself to exhaustion with tears in his eyes. That's not everybody, right? Some guys are gonna be like, hey man, what are you gonna do? It happens. But I promise you, when they get back to the bag and they realize what was at stake and what was lost, it gets them in the ass, right? It bites them in the ass. So I have no problem with them at all doing that. If fight purses and positioning came from public opinion, I would 100% be with you on. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't put that video up there. But understanding his mindset of being a poor kid from Mexico that had nothing, and now he's making money to fight. Shit, I'm from Mexico. We used to fight. In kindergarten, I got my first fight in freaking first day of kindergarten, bro. This is what we do. It's in our blood. We did it for free. He's getting paid kind of for a child's game, sort of, right? So the mindset, it's just a different mindset and all that. I do expect him to come back like pissed. Next fight, he's got to come out like a dog and prove something. You cannot fight in Guadalajara, right, in Mexico again and lose. You just can't if you're him, right? So I don't know who to give him, but I expect another fire fight, and I expect him to fight smarter next time.
Yeah, great win by Kevin Borjas, nonetheless. Is there another fight on this card that you think is worth mentioning here from the early prelims?
Let's see. This is a nasty knockout.
Oh,
that was fun. Yeah. That being said,
Medina had an iron chin until he didn't.
Who's the thing? Here's the thing that I knew it was fucked up. This fucking guy. Did they drop you off in the forest and you came back with a giant duffel bag or did you drop off in the forest with the duffel bag and then come back with a trophy? That would happen. That's a Rogan story from way back in the day before he lost his mind. This dude was like, Medina got, or Daniel Medina got, he was all like, after the fight, he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, dude, you lost your consciousness. Let it go. that dude hits like a bus.
This guy's a tank. I mean, that guy's a tank. And Costa put on a good performance as well.
Costa put on a really good one. C-Rod tried his best. It is what it is. Lupi was fun.
Talented. Costa's talented.
Costa's good. I don't know why anyone thought it was going to be an easy fight. Fucking wasn't. But Costa's really good. Lupi Godinez, I didn't. So I when I live tweet and I do the fight campaign, which I did that night, I don't have the sound on, right? Even when I'm live tweeting, I don't have sound on because I don't want to repeat what they're saying. Apparently, somebody went off on like her talking about shit to poop. I didn't know that was a thing. So that's a fun little storyline of that one. And then Rafa Garcia was cool. That was a good one. Jamal Emers, Jesus, why don't we talk about this guy more often? Jesus Christ, that was a fun TKO.
Well, sometimes it's like this. He goes in there and he stops a guy who's a jiu-jitsu guy. He looks like $1 million, and then sometimes he goes in there and loses to people he shouldn't lose to. His record's littered with some of the losses.
That's true.
You couldn't. He's probably favored in a lot of those fights too. Talent-wise, when you look at Jamal when he's at his best, you're like, wow, this guy's something special. He could be great. And even last weekend, I mean, he looked good, but I didn't think Gabriel Miranda had much for him on the feet. No. He's just, such a great athlete that it was hard for Gabriel to get him to the ground.
Just a fun-ass knockout. And then Muhammad, Austin Hubbard.
Who did you have winning that fight? That was probably the closest fight on the card.
I hate to say I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate Austin Hubbard. I just don't think he's UFC material. I don't. No. And I'm not. That's not again. I'm trying to. I want someone tell me a respectful way to say you don't belong here, because he doesn't belong here. Yeah. He doesn't, dude.
No, he's a Midwest guy that should be like the champ of the APFC. He does well holding people against the cage, the control time, but he's not a finisher.
You remember Mike D'Antoni?
The Suns head coach?
Former everybody's head coach that got hired by after his Suns run, he didn't deserve to get any more jobs. But anyway, I enjoyed. Hey, I like Mike D'Antoni. I wish he was still here, and as a Suns coach. But he was a very aw shucks kind of guy. He didn't lose his mind until he had to yell at refs. Then he lost his shit. Outside of that, he was like, Austin Hubbard is aw shucks at all times. at all times. Like, show me some fire, dog. Show me you got something in you. Not just like, yeah, sure. It's not the same as Ronaldo Rodriguez, right? It's a different mindset on that. Just because Ronaldo is just getting into his UFC.
He's the
career.
polar opposite. He's
complete opposite.
Yeah,
complete opposite.
He's not tactical, but is all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, so I don't want to see Austin Hubbard in the UFC anymore. I hate to say that, but outside of that, like, no, there was no other fight on that card I really like was cared about. I thought it was a shout out to the Mexican fans that showed up. That was a dope event to like watch, like the pops and the people and all that. I got to talk to some of I have family that went. I have family in Mexico City as well, even though I'm from Guadalajara originally, but I have friends that friends and family in Mexico City, and they were texting me like, "Dude, are you here?" I'm like, first of all, no. Catch me in September. But on top of that, I was just like, "How is it inside?" And they were sending me videos, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this place is crazy."
Was huge.
It was yeah, see, that's CDMX arena is pretty big. And then they were sending me videos of like fights breaking out in the fucking crowd. And I'm like, God damn, why don't you just get in the cage? It's right there. Fuck it. Jesus Christ. But anyway, cool event. I honestly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fuck out of it.
Yeah, I do too. Always when they go to Mexico City, it's can't miss.
Mexico City, and then when they go to not Rio, when they go to the smaller Brazilian cities, those are fucking fun. Like
Curitiba.
Yeah, like Curitiba, like Sao Paulo, stuff like that. I don't know if Sao Paulo's that small, but still. And then when they go to Manchester, I fucking love when they do that. Because those Manchester fans, they fight each other, they fight themselves, they fight the fighters if they can. They just nutty ass people. I want to go to a part of Manchester.
Crowd too.
You know what? The one thing everyone tells me about I used to want to go to France until everyone that went tells me that, no offense, French people, don't come after me. I don't know. I'm just saying I've been told you guys are assholes. Like, at all times. Like, if you don't speak perfect French, you get pissy. Eat shit. I don't know. Croissant.
But we got some breaking news as of last night. Normally on Tuesdays we have our show and the news breaks that night, but we delayed it back a day this week, and we had some breaking news that we'll be able to cover here. Merab Dvalishvili will be defending his title against Sean O'Malley for this. This will be the rematch, number 2 between these guys. Merab was able to get the win the first time, 48-47, 3 rounds to 2 in their championship fight. Eddie, do you think, here's my problem with this one. It's just so soon to where the first fight was. I don't know what adjustments O'Malley can make in this fight that's going to make this outcome any different than what it was the first time. I got Merab in this one. I think his takedowns are going to be fantastic. And I don't necessarily think that the coaching matchup is that even either, because I don't necessarily value Tim Welch the same way that I value Ray Longo when we talk about the coaches head-to-head matchup as well. So what's your opinion on this one getting made? I don't think there was necessarily a perfect matchup at bantamweight right now for the company to go with. So they put this one back together. It's going to sell. It obviously is going to have some casual fan interest as well. What do you make of this matchup that they put together?
I don't know anyone was asking for this rematch outside of Merab, I guess, because Merab sees a pretty easy win in the rematch, right? Yeah. I don't see why they did it, other than who else are you going to throw in there, I guess. But you know what? People were also calling for the Umar rematch, and I was like, why the fuck would I do that either? Like, give me a fresh matchup. Don't give me that same bullshit again. That being said, I think this is the UFC going, please, Sean O'Malley, please do something. Look, Merab had to have gone like an 80-fight win streak to get this shot in the first place. What the fuck? All right? And on top of that, and Noche UFC wasn't even in like anything different. And they try to play with Sean's part Mexican. He's got Mexican family or friends or something like that. Oh yeah, cool, whatever. But and no one was asking for this fight. Now, I'm not shitting on it. Hey man, if you're gonna do it, Sean O'Malley, he moved the needle when he was champion a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit. So it's not a bad idea to give him a shot to get that belt back. All right, you either create a trilogy if it's a close fight, or you get your pink hair, fluorescent, flamboyant champion back. So it's just the UFC going like whatever. Now, remember Merab got that Umar fight like pretty fucking close. It was September was when he won his title. He fought Umar in January? Yeah. I'm like, at least they gave him a good few months off this time. Jesus Christ.
I mean, he's pretty active. 3 months. He's back in there really quick.
Yeah.
But the names that Merab has been able to go through on this run are historic, man. And if he can get past Sean one more time, I think you can clearly state that Merab Dvalishvili is the greatest bantamweight in UFC history. If you look at his record, Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov, just a litany of guys who are going to be in the UFC Hall of Fame or were former champions. Merab has beaten literally everyone in this division on that long win streak you were talking about before he got to the title. I really like this for Merab, but from a fan interest perspective, like you're saying, I don't know how many people were asking for it. The alternative to it was probably Peter Yan, which I don't think anybody really would have been too excited for either. So I understand why they went with this matchup. But Eddie, in the co-main event, we are finally going to get a women's bantamweight title fight between Kayla Harrison and Juliana Pena. I know that's not necessarily the greatest matchup in the world either, but Kayla Harrison is one of the most talented females fighters on the planet. And we'll see. Maybe she can make a claim for herself getting gold to be this era's Ronda Rousey. She does have that judo background where she competed in the Olympics twice. So Kayla Harrison is obviously a very physically dominant specimen in females MMA, and I think that she's going to get this done pretty quickly against Juliana Pena, and I would look for her to be about a 4-1 favorite when the lines officially come out.
She'll be the favorite. Kayla will be the favorite, and, it'll be, hold on a second. If Mighty Mouse is still fighting, bro, I'm not against it.
That would be a good fight.
No, I wish Mighty Mouse would still keep going. Mighty Mouse is a smart man. He ain't going to do that. This fight alone, right? Okay. There was no one else. They're not going to bring back, Amanda Nunes is not coming back today, right? She's not going to come back and fight Juliana Pena. Harrison. Okay, look, Harrison would lose. Harrison would lose against the corpse of China. No, just kidding. I don't know that's true. But that'd be fucking weird. But no, Pena, yeah, you're right. Harrison's going to be the favorite, big-time favorite. It's a setup to get her to be champion. That's what it is, right? Yeah. Now, it's not really a setup more than Pena happens to be the champion and Harrison happens to be the biggest name at women's 135 right now. It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be one of the most box office women's fights in a long time. Both of these girls really move the needle at press conferences. Kayla comes across as the confident jock of an athlete that's always had success. She's very confident in herself. Yeah. She's going to come in here and say that she's going to be the new face of women's MMA in the UFC. And Juliana Pena talks shit with the best of them. So I think there's going to be a lot of
I'm going to fight you on that one.
What'd you say?
Yeah, I'm going to argue with you on that one. Pena's shit talk is god awful. Oh my
God. She tries. I'll tell you.
She is the equivalent of I know you, but what am I? I know you're, but what am I? You know what I mean? Like I'm what was the other stupid ass one? I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say, stick, bounces off me, sticks to you. That's her level of shit talk. It's god awful. However, in this country, we clearly like fucking cringe. So it's gonna fucking work.
Yeah. Certainly a matchup to look out for as well. That's a card that is going to be pretty good here in the
Newark, New Jersey, baby. Dylan Napoleon can't fucking wait.
Yeah, hometown of Dylan Napoleon. That's going to be a good one. Watch out for his coverage during that fight week. But this fight week, Eddie, we had some breaking news in the PFL today at the official weigh-ins. The biggest name in this welterweight tournament outside of Jason Jackson and maybe the favorite to win this whole thing, Magomed Umlatov, who was in the finals last year, missed weight today. And because he missed weight, he's going to be eliminated from this 2025 World Tournament. Entering in is Joseph Luciano to replace Magomed Umlatov. And basically, this is MMA, right? So there's nothing guaranteed. But this is a cakewalk to the finals for Logan Storley, in my opinion. You look at the two guys on the same side of his bracket. You have a Japanese fighter named Kim over there that's kind of new to the professional scene. Here in the global professional scene in the PFL or the UFC, a lot of casual fans don't know who he is. I had to do my own research on him this week. But once Logan Storley gets past this matchup, he's going to be having a dominant grappling advantage against anybody who comes next in this bracket. And I think the former Bellator champion is going to find himself in the final across from Jason Jackson or Andrei Koreshkov. How big of a blow is this to the PFL? A lot of people, especially people in Russia, wanted to see Magomed Umlatov fight. I think this is a massive blow for them in terms of selling tickets and getting people to actually watch the fights and care about the tournament.
I think the massive blow comes to people that are actually going to watch this thing. It's 8 fights now, right? And we know PFL pacing, boys and girls. All right, you better you don't even have to skip a fight to go use the bathroom. All right, every 2 minutes they're gonna give you 2 minutes they're gonna give you a 30-minute break in between fucking fights. God damn it, Donnie. But okay, in terms of losing Molotov, I mean it's big. He's one of their stars. If we're honest about it, and also, it's not like he's boring. He's not boring, right? He can fight. It's just no one really cares too much about the PFL because the PFL doesn't promote their fucking fighters. I mean, shit, they don't even put up like media day shit on time. But either way, I know we're throwing shots out, or I'm throwing shots. But yeah, no, it's a blow. Now Joseph Luciano gets a massive opportunity here. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, he should lose against Logan Storley. Like this is Storley's fight to lose. Like in fact, you know what? I'll tell you this right now: if Storley doesn't finish this fight, kick him out of the tournament. He should easily win this fight. I don't give a shit what anyone says. All right. So you know what's going to happen? Storley's not going to finish this fucking fight. Right. And if Luciano wins, whoever's on the other side of the bracket's like, fuck yes. Are you telling me you give me a guy who's supposed to be in here? Dude, easy pickings for me. Let's go. Please get him to the final. I'll whoop his ass and get this fucking $1 million or maybe $500,000 check. Who knows what it's going to be like when we get to that point. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of the blow, it's just 8 fights and awful fucking pacing. That's what the blow is. But look, man, I like when guys get opportunities, especially when they're last second. Joseph Luciano, hey, good luck, bro. I hope you get in there, whoop his ass, and make it happen for yourself and for I don't know. Maybe we see a star being born. Australian. He's an Australian on top of that. So
yeah, I mean, this is the opportunity of a lifetime for Joseph here. I don't know how much nerves are going to play a factor. I think that he's probably going to be a little nervous getting thrown into this tournament against somebody who's a former world champion. And when I sit here and think about it, when you have a competitor like Logan Storley, who's been in these tournaments before through wrestling, he's very used to this tournament format. Yep. When you give a guy like that an inch, he's going to take a mile. So I think that this is really for the pickings for Logan Storley. And if you can put future bets on who's going to win this tournament 4 or 5 months from now, I think Logan Storley is probably some good money to be made out there if you can find that online. But that is our news for this week. Eddie, was there anything else that you saw over the weekend that was breaking news or worth talking about before we get in to the UFC card this week?
I wasn't going to do this. I told myself I wasn't going to do this. Okay. The Joe Piper thing. So everyone knows at this point probably, or they don't. I don't know. So Joe Piper fell out of the fight because he got a tummy issue, and he was throwing up all night, and he didn't make the fight with Kelvin Gastelum. Look, you got sick. You got sick. It is what it is. To come out the next day and blame an entire country for your lack of Googling skills is impressive to me. That is impressive, and it's downright childish bullshit. Okay. Everybody knows when you go to a different country, you got to research exactly how things work a little better, right? Everybody knows that when you make a drastic change in your diet out of nowhere, when you're a professional athlete, when you're going to cut weight, okay, that you should have a procedure to handle that. Bring your own food if you need to. It doesn't matter, okay? This dude went out and talked about, oh, it's a shithole. I'm never fighting outside of the USA. Great, cool. Stay safe in Vegas, bro, so your tummy doesn't hurt again. What are you talking about?
And Eddie, I think this is something that could easily be like we mentioned earlier. This is an easy problem to fix if you show up there a month and a half early. Show up there a month and a half early. You're good to the elevation. You've got the food, the native food's already been in your stomach, so you've got all that bullshit of where it's going to screw up your system as it passes through you gone. And you're ready to go weeks in advance, and you have the promotion at that. If that point, if you get food poisoning a month out, and you tell the UFC, "Hey, I got food poisoning," they can get a new fighter in there to fight Kelvin Gastelum. When you're sitting there on the last week, you show up 8 days before the event to Mexico, you eat some native food, and now you got food poisoning, and you can't get off the toilet. That's your own fault. And it's inexperience, but that is your own fault.
Add on top of that, you're a grown-ass man, bro. The fuck are you talking about? Right? Hey, man, the video should have been more like, hey, I fucked up. Drank the water, ate food. I fucked up, my bad. Instead, he threw a fucking fit. I don't give a shit if you get offended. Okay. Go hang out with Kid Rock with his stinky ass over there. I don't give a fuck. What are you talking about? Now, I'm not mad that he blamed Mexico. I'm not. This is fully Joe Piper. All right? I'm not offended by what he said. in terms of being Mexican and him living in the country. I don't care. Not my problem. I'm talking about how are you going to come out talking about I'm the man, I'm this, I'm that, I'm in the best shape of my life, and then you pull that dumbass shit, bro. I'm going to Mexico for Noche UFC. You know what I know I'm not going to do is brush my teeth with the water out of the sink. Okay, you bottle water that shit. That's common knowledge, by the way. It's easily Googleable. Please, Piper, do that shit. Okay. You know what? Forget all that shit. There's a UFC fucking PI in Mexico. That is your solution. Don't eat.
Just go get your meals there.
Go to UFC PI. Be like, hey guys, I don't want to fuck this up. I've heard things, whatever. Please help me stay healthy. That's it. You know why? That's their job, Joe. God damn it. The annoying, but nothing pisses me off more than a grown ass man making excuses for being a dumbass.
Yeah, and you have to have a little bit of accountability at sometimes.
Make it real again. Make America real again. Make grown ass men, motherfucker.
Yeah, and everybody was excited to see that Piper versus Gastelum matchup. Hopefully, it'll get booked again here in the future. I think both of those guys said they wanted it within the next 2 to 3 weeks, so it'll get thrown in on something, whether it's Kansas City, Iowa. It'll be thrown somewhere.
Throw that shit in the Apex. I don't give a fuck.
All right, Eddie, we do have a UFC Fight Night card this weekend between Josh Emmett and Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy comes into this one with an undefeated record. He did get past Edson Barbosa barely in that contest. Was hurt in that contest. It was a very close matchup. Josh Emmett has not fought since knocking Bryce Mitchell dead 2 years ago. So I don't know what to make of Josh. He was 38 years old when he knocked out Bryce. And really, the last 2 years, in my opinion, of his prime, he may have wasted. Now 40 years old, hasn't competed, has ring rust for the last 2 years, but he is the hardest hitter in the history of this weight division. And if Lerone Murphy can't get him to the ground, it might be a short night for Lerone Murphy. So how do you see this one, Eddie? My heart wants to go with Josh Emmett by knockout, but my brain's telling me to pick Lerone Murphy by decision. But as I say that, Bryce Mitchell wasn't able to get Josh Emmett to the ground, and we saw what happened there.
So, okay, well, I'll get to the matchup itself. I think Josh Emmett should have his hands studied because he hits so hard, he'll make you an idiot. Quite fucking clearly. He will hit you so hard, you will be fucking stupid.
You'll forget history.
You'll forget history. You'll be a dumbass. You'll think the earth is flat. All right. You'll be talking about there's demons surrounding you and women come at you or demons come at you in the shape of demons. Yeah, bullshit, dude. And then he'll hit you. He hit him so hard he thought Adolf was a fucking nice guy.
Yeah,
sir, bro. Like it's not like that was that wasn't wicked. No one wrote this shit up. Right? That is documented. Like that of what happened in those days. There's video, bro. Yeah. Josh Emmett hit you so hard you became an idiot. That is amazing. Okay, so no, I want Josh Emmett to retire. I want scientists to study his hands and be like, how do we weaponize this? Like, can we reverse engineer your hands, dog, to make people smarter? Okay, because if we can do that, I volunteer to get that technology installed in my hands because I'm just going to go outside and start smacking motherfuckers smart. We do that shit left and right. In terms of the fight itself, I don't like Josh Emmett's fight style when it comes to fighters like Lerone Murphy because Lerone's not just trying to get you to the ground. Lerone's going to move around. He's going to find angles. He's going to avoid your power. He's going to make you whiff at the air. And who whiffs more than not nobody. Very few guys whiff more than Josh Emmett because Josh Emmett is trying to kill you with every punch and make you stupid and make you a Nazi, apparently.
Yeah, he's a home run hitter. He swings big and he misses big. And that was evident in the fight with Ilya Topuria. Now, he did go 5 rounds with Topuria, went toe-to-toe with the champion. And that's a blood and guts affair. If you haven't seen that one, fight fans, go back and watch it ahead of this weekend.
That took years off his fucking career, though. I'll tell you that.
What did you say?
That took years off his career.
Yeah, it did. And I think that was probably, looking back on it, the toughest challenge for Topuria stylistically. Sure. But do you think – here's my thing. If Lerone can keep this one standing, and I know he's slick, I know he's athletic, he can get out of the way of punches, but he got caught by Barbosa, if we remember. So if you can get caught by Barbosa, and I know Barbosa's fast. He's one of the fastest guys we've ever seen in the UFC, and the level of speed is different than Josh. But if you can get touched by Josh, you might go to sleep. So this is one for 5 rounds that you're going to have to be glued to the TV for literally every second because Josh Emmett is dangerous up until his very last shot that he throws. So I want to go with Lerone Murphy in this one by decision. I do think I'm going to take Josh Emmett by late round knockout. Crazy enough as it is, he's a huge underdog in this one, plus 230. He's given up a lot of age, given up height, given up a lot. But I just don't think Lerone Murphy has it in him to hurt him. And I think that if you stick and you let Josh Emmett around for 25 minutes, at some point he's going to touch you.
Yeah, and that's going to be the name of the game. And Josh knows this. He knows it's going to be I hate to say it this way, run away from his power, because anybody fighting Josh Emmett should absolutely run away from his power, make him miss. If you can make Josh Emmett miss, you can get him tired, you can get him frustrated, and I don't care how old you are, frustration will get at you if you're a fighter sooner or later. And I think Lerone no one's gonna finish this fight, I don't think. Let me take it back. If Josh Emmett lands clean, it might be game for Lerone. But I think it's gonna be Lerone point fighting, and we're gonna get an apex fight of this one. But either way,
it's one of the two. I feel like there's only really two outcomes to this one. It's either Lerone decision, and he slickly shows us how talented and skillful he is, or Josh Emmett knocks his block clean off.
Lerone by decision for me, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's probably going to be Lerone by decision, but just for shits and gigs, I am going to go with Josh Emmett by knockout in this.
Josh, please, for the love of God, don't hit him so hard he gets stupid. God damn. Yeah. Oh my God, Bryce Mitchell.
We have another one.
Who didn't hug Bryce enough? Who did not hug Bryce Mitchell enough growing up? God damn.
He just actually had a 30-minute. Did you see the 40-minute interview he had with MMA Guru drop last night?
I don't. Fuck no, dude. You telling me? Okay, time out.
It was hilarious.
No, but you just made it worse.
It was hilarious.
Not only did you ask me about watching Bryce Mitchell, you think I have nothing against Guru. I don't know anything. Guru.
He egged him on. So it's like he was like agreeing with Bryce to get Bryce to say more outlandish shit. Oh, no way, did he? Oh, to like get him. He was like egging him on to make him say outlandish shit. So it was kind of funny, but
that's a little fucked up. But okay, Guru, I'll give you. You know what? MMA Guru, I'll give you credit for that one.
I think it's worth to watch.
I might actually click. I'll find the clip and I'll watch that, because that sounds hilarious. I want to see that.
He was like egging him on and stuff. I'm not going to get into what they were saying because we're trying to get.
Yeah, we're not trying to.
But at the same time, we have another fight on this card that I'm very interested in as well. Northeastern prospect Pat Sabatini returns versus Brazilian standout Joe Anderson Brito. Eddie, I got to tell you, I got Brito in this one. I think he's just more well-rounded, power in the hands, slick on the ground. Sabatini is a jiu-jitsu expert, right? He has submissions. He's very good. He can make guys who are good on the ground look very average. But I think Joe Anderson Brito is just going to be too skilled, too strong. And if this fight stays on the feet, I think he finishes it by knockout. What do you like in this matchup between Pat Sabatini and Joe Anderson Brito? Who are you going with?
Joe Anderson Brito. I mean, how old is Pat Sabatini? Can we say he's going to get retired tomorrow, this weekend?
That's what I was thinking. I think Brito's 30 or 31, and Sabatini is 35. I'll have to look that up for you.
All right, I'll put it up right now. So Sabatini is 34 years old.
Yeah.
On a 4, sorry, not a 4. On a 1, he's got one win back in October 24. He's got a bunch of Fury Pro grappling matchups. Great, cool. It's nice, but Joe Anderson Brito's been actually fighting, right? And so let me see who Joe Anderson Brito's coming off he got split decision by William Gomez. By the way, I thought
Gomez is good. I like Gomez.
I thought he beat Gomez. I thought he beat Gomez personally, but that's just me. But 3 fights in a row that he stopped. Before that, Jack Shore, Jonathan Pierce, Weston Wilson, and then Lucas Alexander, so that's 4. And then Andre Fili finished. That's 5 finishes in a row. You can't convince me Pat Sabatini is going to bring shit to this fight that Brito's not already seen. And I think Brito is going to make it a short night.
I do too. I've got Brito in this one, second round knockout. I think Sabatini.
Real quick, this is gold. Mitchell was Eddie Bravo winner at Mid-Earth's round. Make it happen, Dana. Sorry, go ahead.
Bryce Mitchell actually trains with Eddie Bravo out there too. That's actually got to be some wild sessions when those two are together at 10th Planet. But
I'm sure Bryce doesn't smoke, right? Like Eddie does.
Yeah.
But can you imagine
he might as well. He might as well.
No, can you imagine those two guys like hotboxing in like a van and just like philosophy, just talking about the shit they believe? I guarantee they convince each other some wilder shit than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The sessions have to be pretty crazy there, just the banner back and forth. But yeah, in this one I've got Joe Anderson Brito. I do highly rate Pat Sabatini's jiu-jitsu. If he can get him to the ground, I don't put it past Pat Sabatini to beat anyone once the fight hits the floor, but he's going to have to get it there. And Joe Anderson Brito is a very tough customer and someone who has good takedown defense and is younger. So we're both going to take Joe Anderson Brito. But Eddie, I hate to do this, but these heavyweight fight night matchups outside the top 15 are god awful. We got another one this weekend. Kennedy is actually in the top 15, which tells you a lot about the heavyweight division's top 15. But he's fighting a guy in Martin Buday who falls along the lines of the guys who I've kind of complained about in the past, the Romanovs, the guys who show up and they don't necessarily look like fighters, man. And he's got a good record at 14-2. But when he goes up in competition, I don't necessarily think he's going to do that well. He doesn't have knockout power, and he isn't necessarily a world-class grappler either. I don't know where he, really finishes fights at this heavyweight division against some of the elite contenders. I think Kennedy is going to have about 2 inches on him, 1 inch actually, but he's going to be longer, he's going to be stronger, he's going to be faster, and I think he's going to hit harder. I think he's also smarter and he's more technical, and he can kickbox from the outside and use his speed if he wants to. Buday, I think he's going to try and hold him up against the fence, use the clinch work for control time, and really just make it a boring, fat guy heavyweight fight. And that's kind of what we've seen out of the top 15. I hope Kennedy dispatches him and moves up in the rankings here in the heavyweight division. I've got Kennedy and Njoku, second round knockout. What do you got in this one?
A bathroom break during that one. No, all seriousness. Kennedy's going to murder him, whether it's by decision or hopefully a finish. Gotta hope a finish. Because Martin Buday, last fight was a victory. Absolutely. Split decision. Absolutely. I use it 3-3. Absolutely. Against 46-year-old Andrei Arlovski.
Yeah.
Can we stop pretending this guy can do shit?
That's what I'm saying. The record looks good, but look who he's fighting.
It's like, dude, that win ages like a win against Tony Ferguson in my mind. Doesn't matter.
It ages like milk.
100%. So honestly, I don't even care about talking about this fight. Kennedy, if you don't knock him out, dude, just ask for your release, dog. If you don't finish, just ask for your release.
Yep.
Martin's gonna hug you and put you on the fence, but Kennedy is longer. His striking is way better. He hits like a bus. Okay, you should be able to finish this fight.
So a matchup that we might fight fans might be a little bit more entertained by is the striker versus grappler matchup of Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Fight fans love GM3. He's always down for a good scrap. He's fought the best of the best, Khamzat Chimaev, René de Ridder. It seems like he's really a testing tool at times for the UFC and when they bring in new top talent. But he's going to be facing another veteran this weekend in Brad Tavares in a fight that he could probably win. Gerald is going to have an advantage on the ground in this one, but he struggles if he can't get the fight to the ground. We've seen this countless times, including the Khamzat Chimaev fight where he got blasted real quick inside the first 20 seconds. I think that Brad is one of the best technical kickboxers we have. And here's the thing with Brad Tavares, when he goes against a great grappler, he will lose. When he goes against a great striker, he will lose. But he is good everywhere. And if you are deficient at some type of skill in the game, he's going to find it and he's going to exploit it, just like he did with Chris Weidman. He goes, okay, Chris, you might have beat me 10 years ago, but you're fighting on one leg. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to kick it for 15 minutes and you're going to walk out of here and go to a hospital. He knows how to win fights. He's a veteran. And I think he's going to kickbox Meerschaert from the outside and get a victory this weekend. How do you see this striker versus grappler matchup, Eddie? Tavares
about leg kicks. It's kind of all that matters. I mean, what's Gerald going to do against that? Gerald just took a fight against a grappler and got submitted, right? And he's a high-level grappler. Before that, he submitted Edmund Shabazian, who doesn't have a ground game, and Brian Barberena, who's has a rough ground game, and probably should have been fighting at 185 anyway. But and I mean, Gerald will stay around, no problem. He's exciting enough.
Why is this fight at 200 pounds?
Say what?
The fight is it looks like the fight's a catch weight at 200 there, doesn't it, with the weight?
That shows 185 on my end. Where's it show?
Right on where?
Oh, right here. Yeah. No, I think no, I won't be. It'll be a middleweight. I think maybe those guys. They I don't know. Look, I'll say this: the one thing PFL has above the UFC, a decently working website. Anyway,
I think the UFC just has so many guys on the website; it's hard to update.
Shit, I'm telling you. But no, but either way, like this fight should be pretty solid. Brad Tavares by decision after he kicks the shit out of Gerald Meerschaert. It's an Apex card, bro. It's not very exciting.
Yeah, no, that's what I got as well. Fight fans, if we catch any news this weekend, we will bring it to you next Tuesday.
I'll give you one. Sorry, I'll give you one. Not necessarily to watch, but I have a soft spot for Dana Belbita because she's been super cool at Cageside Press. Like she's been fucking awesome in Cageside Press. So sounds like it's gonna be her last fight. She talked to Jay Anderson, and she did an interview with Jay Anderson. I think last week. That's on our YouTube. So after this, just hit the Cageside Press. Hit subscribe first, of course. Hit the thumbs up on this video, of course. All right, leave us a comment, of course, and then hit the Cageside Press and scroll down a little bit and watch Dana Babita's interview. She was on eating like 400 calories a day to cut weight. Like she has some crazy stories in that one, and this sounds like more than like it's gonna be it for her. She is there's a few little tidbits here and there, but she's got future plans. She's moving. She's more than likely gonna be a coach. So we're probably looking at her last fight, professional fight, and Diane Barbosa is a dog. So this should be a pretty good one in my opinion. But Dana Babita, thank you for everything you've done for Cageside Press. You've been amazing to us, and it made me a fan because she's super cool. And having to, being able to go back and forth with her a little bit, it's been a good time. So best of luck to her. Hopefully she leaves on a win. And yeah, shout out to her.
Yeah, good luck this weekend. We're going to bring you guys everything from over the weekend. I've got an interview with Brett Primus coming up, former Bellator champion, on Friday. That'll be out next week.
That's an intense human being, dog.
Yeah.
That's an intense motherfucker right there. Remember in San Diego, he made weight, goes, just screams out of nowhere. And I'm looking around like, who the fuck you yelling at, dog?
Hey, Brett Primus is as lunch pail as it gets. That dude was walking around with a gallon of water, just slugging it.
He was the whole fucking week. Like,
whole week. Just a backwood gallon of water, too. Not nothing fancy.
Yeah,
wasn't worried about any of it.
Cool guy, though.
Yeah, he is. So catch that next week as well. And we will be live next Tuesday. We had to go on Wednesday this week because of Media Day with the PFL. I'm here in Orlando covering the PFL live, and I will be here covering Leandro Higo's main event next week as well as the Brent Primus interview dropping on our YouTube channel. So catch that out, fight fans, and we'll bring you any breaking news and a recap from next weekend. And we'll also look ahead to the UFC pay-per-view in Miami next week. We got a big week of fights coming up next week. So catch us next Tuesday, and thanks for joining us.